CS 리그 때는 못 받아본 관심을 지금 여기서 좋은 쪽으로든 안 좋은 쪽으로든 갖고는 있는데 항상 관심 강사하고 발전하고 잘하는 선수가 되고 싶습니다.
성적 부진한 가운데 응원해 주셔서 감사하고 다음에도 이기겠습니다. 감사합니다.
남은 경기들이 되게 다 중요한 경기들이라 한 경기 한 경기 소중하게 생각하고 재밌고 멋있게 한번 열심히 노력한 만큼 열심히 경기할 테니까 많이 지켜봐 주시고 더운 여름에도 응원해 주셔서 너무 감사하다고 전해드리고 싶어요.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We got another great day of LCK here live at the Nexon Arena. It's me, Valdez, with Papa Smithy casting Jin Air Green Wings up against Griffin, our #1 team. Everybody's chasing after Griffin, but Griffin looking quite well up on top. Not looking to lose any games here, Papa.
And while we are mostly through the days of the top 5 playing each other, whenever we see one of these playoffs teams play, it's all about those standings implications. Griffin, our current rank 1 team, owns their destiny. If they win all 3 matches they have remaining, today they play against Jin Air. From there, they play against SK Telecom T1 and BBQ. Then Griffin are first place and go straight to the grand final. So every time we see them play, if they 2-0, they're fulfilling their quota.
That they are. And you look at Jin Air, you know, they're down towards the bottom, currently 3-14, 3-11, I'm not sure, but
11.
It's not a very good rating so far. They're trying to avoid relegations right now, but definitely some strong opponents ahead of them. We'll see how they do. Definitely expecting Griffin to take this one. They're the big favorites. You know, it's no secret. Rank 1 up against rank 9. We just want to see more cool things out of Griffin and, you know, maybe some more Teemo. I'm sure everybody wants to see that. And also we have patch 8.14 today, guys, so could be a lot of new champions that come in too.
There's a lot of changes. The TP ones are the big ones. I think a lot of people are talking about. Big one we're talking about in Korea. Finally, those Samsung Galaxy skins are available. So hopefully we're going to see eventually Gen G play with them, also other people troll with them. Some new stuff to show in terms of picks. Corki's back, and maybe Corki versus Azir, Corki versus Orianna. That could be some pretty staple mid lane matchups. Some people excited, some people bored by that information. No one should be bored about where the LCK is. At the top and at the bottom are both so competitive. Jin Air trying to get to 4 match wins and join MVP. But their run-in is quite difficult, Valda. It's going to be tricky for Jin Air to get out of relegations. For Griffin, like we've already said, they're gunning for first. That team coming all the way from challenges to now, they've lost 3 matches all year, and they're currently first place.
Yeah, it's not the story we expected for Griffin. A lot of people were saying, hey, yeah, undefeated down in challengers, but
what does it mean?
We'll probably see them at 5th, 6th, maybe even lower. A lot of people were even saying down towards the bottom, but now they're in first, and they're looking to be the best team in Korea as a whole. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams before we get too deep into anything else. Jin Air Green Wings over here going to be starting on the blue side. As we mentioned before, they're looking to avoid relegations. How are they going to do it, though? They're going to bring in Kakao and Justice for the first time this split.
That is an interesting roster choice. Kakao has played 3 games, and like you say, Justice, nothing in the summer season, was playing in spring, though. He is one of our resident Aurelion Sol players, so it'll be fun to see him potentially jump on a pick like that. Otherwise, Azir and the standard stuff is what we should expect. Jin Air looked pretty woeful last time out, so I think they're trying some new things, seeing if Kakao can bring them some experience from the jungle. So far, in 3 games, he's really shown none of his old form, so finding a way to show us something better is what Kakao needs to do.
Teddy hanging on to Nova saying, please carry me, as Teddy has not been able to carry himself as well. He was the Fountain Laser in spring, and that was in a meta when things were very much slowed down. You remember 8.1, even 8.1 through 8.3 was a very, very slow meta. All of spring was relatively slow. But now we're kind of slowly turning back into that slow meta. We'll see if that helps out Teddy and his Fountain Laser-ness, if he can bring it back. But a very rough opponent ahead of them right now. It's going to be Griffin tonight, the entire lineup that you would expect.
Except for the mid lane, as Ratha will be jumping in. So no sign of Chovy, who's Yasuo in the mid lane. Really pipped to the point. Viper's Teemo that may have won, but it was really about Tarzan and Chovy finding that connection. Ratha is back today. Expected to be playing some more Ratha champions. If you're not familiar with them, Lulu, Galio. He's a decent Talon, but Talon took a big nerf on this patch, so probably won't be seeing that. Maybe something new will come through from Ratha. He's actually the best Swain player on the team, and Swain is a champion the team has struggled to wield, but defend your first place and hold the lead are the SpoTV words. They control their destiny. What a hype place to be in. They're currently one match win ahead of the pack. Already said it. Jin Air, SKT, and BBQ. SKT sticking out as the difficult fixture among those three, but still, controlling your fate for first is not a spot that anyone on Griffin could have been dreaming about 3 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, they should be pretty comfortable at least. You mentioned it's pretty much only SKT in their way, but we've seen weird things already happen here in the LCK. Jin Air able to take down Kingzone, BBQ taking down Afrika. We've seen it before here in the summer, and anything can happen. And as I mentioned, maybe with the slower meta, Jin Air can try to bring things back into their favor. But let's go over a little bit of 8-14. Some simple buffs, simple nerfs, as Riot likes to call them, and then a bunch of changes as well.
Definitely the Monster Hunter change, which is what they talk about, the unique passive to penalize gold income for the funnel, is a really, really heavy-handed and obfuscated change. It's very hard to understand. It has bad impacts on regular jungling as well. I know Riot is talking about adjusting it a little bit, but the basic understanding now is if you don't have an entire warrior or an entire third-tier jungle item, if you get ahead in gold, if you have the most gold on the team is the current metric, if you go into a lane and kill a ranged minion in the early game, you get 4 gold because you lose out on 10 gold per CS. It's a very, very heavy-handed change. It does remove the viability of funnel. Freak on the Freak Show did a really good piece about how much less gold it is. Basically, it means you're getting the same gold as someone who isn't funneling in the mid lane, so really no reason to go back to the funnel comp. It hurts someone like Ratha, who would love to be jumping on a Smite Talon, for example. The Smite mid laners are taken away, and when it comes to the other changes, Teleport and Conqueror, weaker on this patch. The Ahri buff might actually be interesting, especially Ian. Probably our resident Ahri player might be considering if Pawn ever gets a game, another well-known Ahri player. Aatrox got nerfed, but I don't know if it's enough to actually see the Aatrox be left open.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at Jin Air now. Regrettable round 1, that is for sure. They started out 1-8. Their only victory here was up against BBQ, actually. So not really the most fantastic run, but you look at round 2, 2 and 3, that's a little bit better.
Until their most recent game, where they honestly looked pretty damn poor. I mean, it was Hanwha Life last time out. They may have won a game, but in their losses, run over in the jungle, Umti really struggling. Haven't seen Umti really this out of form since perhaps his first season, 2017 spring, where you could see that being a rookie player is really getting to him when they were on a losing streak there as well. So I like Cal coming in for game 1. If you're going to have an experienced jungler in the squad and you're going to use him, this is the time. Whether it means he's going to be able to do well or not, that remains to be seen, because Tarzan has been top 2, top 3 jungler in the LCK, and the last time Jin Air played Griffin, Tarzan gave Kakao a lesson. So let's see if Kakao can actually rewrite that narrative. It's supposed to be the old player that gives the lessons, but it was Tarzan in round 1.
Tarzan's the boss now. He's up on top, but you guys will see here, still strong in team fights, but not completely stable. Lots of great stats. Highest average kills, highest KDA, best in round 1. But then you look at round 2, and you think about how are they 3-3? Well, they lost 0-2 to Afrika, 1-2 to KT, and then 0-2 to Gen G. And you begin to wonder, we were talking a little bit about the rock, paper, scissors that we kind of have happening here in LCK. Griffin just having some trouble with the top teams here in round number 2.
I'm going to zoom in on one of the offenders on Griffin, Lehens, who is a really clean player on his champions, but you know, when you get past the Shen, there are already asterisks. He wins a lot on Morgana. He also dies 2v2 on Morgana like 3 times this season in lane with no jungle. coming in. So he's had his struggles in the laning phase. Man, his Shen is amazing. On his day, his engaged support play is very powerful. But definitely, though, these warning signs when it comes to best of fives, when it comes to true preparation, rather than we're playing 3 matches in a week, I don't know, it's Griffin, it's going to be tricky. So I think teams will continue to be able to find ways against Lehends. And KT in the first round, the only set that we actually saw Griffin drop was the triple ban towards Lehends champion pool.
Yeah, it's definitely one way to handle the bottom lane, at least, especially if you feel like you have a strong bottom lane, as KT does. I mean, you ban out Shen, Morgana, Alistar. You only leave him with Soraka and Pyke as his strong champions that he's actually won, Han. You guys can see only 7 champions total have been picked by this player. It's the lowest number by all supports.
I believe BDD in the mid lane is something like 19 picks, at least 18 for sure. So lets you know how meager his champion pool is. However, next to him, of course, is the god of Teemo. It is the only player with a competitive victory on Teemo in Korea. It is Viper, and you know what? For every champion Lehends doesn't play, Viper finds a new pick to play himself.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are calling for the Teemo, but how about something even newer, it feels? You know, a couple of buffs on Jinx and Twitch, right? Maybe we can see him jump onto that now with the slowing down meta.
Twitch and Jinx are tanks at level 1, man. They got
they have
so
a lot
much
of
health. You get some Chrysalis in there, you're getting to the big numbers with some of your options. I hope we see something new from Viper. Was actually streaming the other day and playing some Vayne, which I know is an old pick for him. Would love to see something like that, some small Vayne buffs. Who knows what Viper makes of the meta? I had a chance to talk to him after the series. I said, no, really, what about this Teemo? Were you trolling? And it was an intentional pick, according to the team. So they're definitely not saying it was like the last 2 Teemos that were accidents. They feel like Teemo can be played. So who knows? Maybe it's just not a one-off. Maybe they'll return to it in an important match.
Yeah, I mean, in the game that we saw, it wasn't really about the Teemo, it was about the Yasuo, right?
Agreed.
And he was saying, well, you know, I took a lot of focus away, right? They tried to gank the bottom lane, I opened up the map. I suppose that's one way to deal with it. And guys, it is really, really hot here in Seoul. I think it was 39 degrees today Celsius. It's getting out of hand.
And that is a Pool Party Graves skin. If he was shooting water on people, they would be appreciating it. It is super hot in the studio. We have decent air conditioning, but it's not out of this world. So who knows? If the games get intense enough, we might be sweating as well.
Might get some Graves too. Hey, you never know, right? Graves, will he ever come back into the meta in a big way? Saw it a lot in the beginning, but not anymore. We're going to jump into pick and bans, though, for game number 1. Let's hop into the series right now.
Cal and Justice are the new members. Also the patch. We're on patch 8.14 for anyone joining. You VOD viewers at home, they always ask, even though it says it in the top left. First ban
Wait, where?
by Jinair is Shen. It says 8.14 version in the top. Good eyes, Valdez.
Yeah,
I'm really
yeah.
excited about you catching everything in the team fight now.
Yeah, I'm, you know, it's my
Observant.
job, the observer, basically.
My job is to observe that Aatrox's not the first ban on red side. And I did say to you before the game started, I think someone eventually is going to leave Aatrox open and see who's been practicing it. Jinair says, oh crap, they haven't banned Aatrox yet. And things get interesting now in game 1 on patch 8.14.
Kind of opens up one ban on the red side, too, because we never saw Aatrox on 8.13. I mean, he was just too strong. He was the one permaban. We saw Talia, we saw Nocturne, we saw all the other good stuff, but not Aatrox.
Oh, come on, let's leave it open. Give me some Aatrox. We've had none in Korea yet. After the rework was played at Rift Rivals, but never been left open in Korea. Griffin, they're playing with fire. It's a hot day.
Oh.
They're not going to let the blaze fully grow. They try to play Aatrox chicken and they lose. Eventually have to ban it themselves. That means Tahm Kench jumps all the way to first pick priority. On the blue side, I hope that means that Teddy is playing a marksman.
I would say probably 100% that he is going to be playing a marksman. I think just with everybody slowing down and with Teddy being in the lineup, you're going to have to go towards that. Orianna, still very strong in the mid lane.
And Viper hasn't played it in bot lane yet, although Hanwha Life Esports, who play in our second series, are 2-0 on bot lane Orianna. I've spoken about the pick to him before. He didn't seem convinced, but it's worked in Korea now, so there's a very real chance this will be bot lane as well. Tarzan, with his pick of the junglers, the Trundle, 8-0 banned away from him, will just jump on the Sejuani. And more often than not, I think we will see tank junglers picked up. However, Kakao, is he going piggy hunting on the Kindred?
Looks like he is going to immediately pick that one up. We've seen some more aggressive picks out of him outside of the one Sejuani game, Xin Zhao and Camille. So he's going to be going into that matchup you mentioned. Thinking about a last pick here, Justice, he had a big smile on his face earlier. Will they just go for the Gen G special? Yes, they will.
It's also the Kingzone Dragon X special. Kingzone 9-1, Ezreal 8-1, Tahm Kench. But you're right, defined by Gen G this season. Griffin start hovering the Urgot. By far not the trollest thing we've seen in the past week. Nothing can phase us anymore. What would it be? What would have to be the pick that would actually get you to do a double take?
I mean, Urgot would be that for me, you know. Definitely down there in, you know, the D and E tiers of LCK. But it's just going to be Soraka, as they wanted to skip over the Alistar. Go for this.
I'm 50-50 that it's Orianna Soraka bot lane, just to put it out there. Could actually be the double lane counter pick there, as Ori can do very decently against Ezreal. Counter pick is strong, but the Soraka definitely has a lot of priority in this lane. It's usually something like Ezreal, where you see the Orianna bot lane.
Hi, Papa.
Hello there. All the love to
It's
all
a
the fans
box.
coming through. Look at all these global fans hitting here. Love it.
Ranking Ball loves LCK.
Maybe that's his username.
Probably. Or maybe he's doing a show. Not 100% sure. We're going to jump into more bans here. You'll notice the Azir popping up. Lots of mid lane bans.
Does suggest it may be a mid lane Orianna. Who knows? It's a rather comfort pick. Waiting to see where Griffin wants to go in terms of the top lane meta. No one show anything just yet. Whoa, that's a really good Star-Lord Guardians of the Galaxy mask there. I guess it could be Iron Man also.
It says he came from space to cheer on Janair, and he also likes Garen.
Uh-oh! Uh-oh!
We're doing it, guys!
Uh-oh! Uh-oh!
Today's a special day over at Smo TV. A man from space and a man on the ground. It's going to be Teemo coming back for Viper.
Well, you know,
Should be.
he did say to me that it wasn't a troll pick and that it was intentional. So there you go. Viper's loving the Teemo. Might be Teemo Soraka bot lane, as I'm sure chat is having some fun with this. Janair Green Wings, they see the Teemo. They're probably a little bit tilted by it. And what do they want to play, though? Are they going for they know Orianna's mid lane now. It's probably not going to be AP mid Teemo, although I imagine it looks like he's getting subbed out, but he's definitely playing the game. Justice is definitely playing.
You can't play against the Teemo.
Blind pick top lane is going to be the GP. Will we see Victor also buffed on this patch and said to be very strong? We will not. It's going to be the Karma. Karma adjusted. Better late game, but worse in the support role because their level 1 was nerfed really hard. Still can be very powerful, so mid lane Karma. Going to be the choice this time for Jinair.
I mean, it's nice when you have Tahm Kench and then 3 guys
AoE
that are going to
shields.
scale and carry.
But-
Jace comes in
Yeah.
here for Sword, though.
And that, of course, is the matchup that we saw in the top lane when MVP played Kingzone. This is surprisingly low Jace priority. Jace getting banned pretty frequently in the second round of drafts recently, not even just against the resident Jace players like Khan and Smeb. All right, Griffin, you've got the Teemo back again, trying to really punish the bot side. Viper said he likes it against low sustain lanes. Tahm Kench definitely fits there. What can he provide if the game actually revolves around him? Because really, it was all about Chovy and Tarzan on that Yasuo-Sejuani duo last time out.
Oh, man. We're going to get another game of Teemo. I'm sure everybody is ecstatic right now. It would have been even better if we could get Victor in the game, too, just for a little bit of 8.14 flavor. But I suppose the game already has enough flavor. You don't want to overdo it. I love the way that Justice looks in his chair. He's got the shirt open, a big smile on his face. He finally gets to play after so many weeks being subbed out there by Grace.
Halfway through season 1 of this year, so halfway through spring season till now. No games played, but I'm sure everyone would much rather be talking about the Teemo-Soraka duo lane. Think of the amount of poke in this lane. It might just be double Summoner Airy. Enjoy all the free harass you take if you're Tahm Kench.
That's going to be really annoying. You know, we talked about melee supports and stuff that can harass it. Soraka came back a little bit more Ghana. Nice in the bot lane, but Teemo-Soraka, how about that? We're going to get it, guys. The countdown has started. We're going to be jumping into game number 1 right now. Jinair versus Griffin.
오신 것을 환영합니다.
Well, they figured out their fans chant. I guess when you're the first place team in LCK, you can't afford to not have a good chant.
That was definitely the biggest kink in their whole setup, was the fact that no one really knew who was the fan leader and who was the cheerleader. So we
Yeah.
got many weird cheering scenarios. I know a lot of people were very tilted that Viper, when he did play Teemo, didn't play BMO. That was a big call for that.
Yeah.
He's invisible over here, but he's jumped onto the Omega Squad Teemo. So maybe he just wants to show that even though he's willing to lock in the Teemo, do an adorable interview with OGN where he wears a Teemo hat, he's also a hard carry and a grizzled veteran jumping onto this Teemo bot.
Well, you were asking for Aerie. How about 4 Aries on the side of Griffin?
That's too many Aries.
Summoner Aries coming back onto the Rift. We also got one for Karma on the left, so 5 total. Aerie OP? Question mark?
The one thing I was wondering is, will we see any visits to, I'm checking down the Scorch there as well for lane presence, no
Yeah,
surprise.
4 of them.
What I was looking for was one of the new runes, the Ghost Porro, because Zombie Wards took a big nerf on this patch. You're going to have less free vision, doesn't come off friendly minions anymore, but the invades with the Ghost Porro, where you put it down on the enemy jungle side and then get an even faster clear. That was something I was wondering about. We're not going to see that, and think about this. Zombie Wards are gone. There's less vision on the map. You know who provides a lot of vision? Good old Teemo, as someone decides to take his whole health bar.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know who decides to win a trade in a big way is the Jace in the bot lane. It's not Khan, it's Sword. Doing his thing.
Could solo kill So1 here, but probably not going to happen. We'll need to flash, and a counter flash will come out, but a bit bold from So1, who has gone Resolve Tree on the GP. So trying to weather the storm as much as possible. If you're wondering about the Griffin game plan here, whether it's just going to be styling with the Teemo pick or whether there's any validity to comp, big thing you can say is if they have 2 winning lanes, which Jace against GP, definitely a winning lane. The double Aerie, Soraka, Teemo picked for lane as well. If they ever get that lead and start getting the turret lead you expect with a comp like this, Jace pushing the top, then the Teemo Shrooms would give them a whole hell of a lot of map control. So running a sheer winning lane, like top lane Jace with this Teemo, definitely gives them a lot more reliability than, think back to the draft the other day where Chovy popping off is the only reason the Teemo ended up being just a fine pick, because when you have a big split pusher, giving him Shrooms for coverage is good as well.
Bit of an invade here from Tarzan. The Kindred can get a little bit low, especially on the Raptors, but good smite there by Kakao. Tarzan forcing that one out, but yeah, I mean, I like what you're saying about the control of the vision and all that. It's just their late game is kind of interesting. Jace going to fall off a little bit. The Teemo is going to be AP based on what we've seen, so it's not going to be the on hit, you know, scale a little bit. So what do they do when it gets into the really late game?
My big hope is that they use it as training wheels for the only defined problem of Griffin, which is their fairly inactive early game. They don't do much in the early game. They don't claim a lot of gold. OGN had a stat where they were something like 7th in the LCK for gold earned in the first 10 minutes. They don't blow open games till a little bit later, and they're defined by their late game team fighting. So if you're going to take everyone Scorch, no front line except for a Sejuani, you aren't thinking about the late game. You're right, you probably will be outclassed. Even though Jin Air doesn't have the most tankiness themselves, someone like the Gangplank with just a crit barrel is going to explode the health bar of everyone on the side of Griffin. So very much I want to see them play through winning lanes. Get a big lead for Sword. They haven't played around Sword for the better part of the second round robin. He's been mostly on tank duty. Find a way to actually make the map control work and take a Baron pre-30 minutes with the Teemo Shrooms. There is valid concerns about the late game, but Jin Air don't have an overwhelming late game lead either, so we'll see what Griffin can make happen in this game.
Especially with the Ezreal pick, you know, the Ezreal Tahm Kench, it has been the star lineup in the bottom side, you could say. Every team basically is trying it out every once in a while. Are going to have a gank up at the top side, but good positioning here from Tarzan is in the right spot, but just the harass there from Kakao. We've been seeing a lot more of just junglers showing up to the lane, not looking for kills, just looking to help out.
Just Kindred things where you can walk up at level 4 and do 500 damage in 3 orders. Pretty cool. Tarzan's there for a bit of coverage, but Kakao, to his credit, hasn't been boxing with shadows against Tarzan like he did last time in this matchup, so good to see Kakao so far. Maybe hasn't made anything big happen, but hasn't had any down moments either.
You can see the effect of the bottom lane so far, having a lot of trouble down there is especially the Tahm Kench, losing almost all of his health bar. The Ezreal obviously going to take that teleport, so we'll be able to just come back into the lane after picking up his tier. A little bit of magic resist too, just so that he can handle this lane.
You're wondering about the Teemo build from Viper last time and didn't catch the Bard. Ludens first into the Leandris was the build he did there. Of course, that is some pretty potent shrooms, so that's a very good map control build. The poke, of course, going to be very decent as well. See if he keeps the same trajectory. I see a Lost Chapter, so it's seeming very likely that's the build path for Viper.
Yeah, no real reason to change it up in this one. I'm really curious, again, our second game of Teemo. How is he going to do if things are a little bit more even? Still too early in the game to say whether or not this game will go on until the later spot, but we'll have to wait and see.
Isn't it fun, though, because earlier in the season when Griffin started, they were winning against teams like Jin Air, and everyone said, yeah, I'm waiting for them to win against the top teams, and they went on to do that. People will say the same thing about the Teemo pick, like, he played against the bottom teams. I'm waiting to see it against the top teams. So far, Griffin have put their money where their mouth is every time. They haven't been styling on low teams and then being able to be beaten easily by the top teams. Sure, they have lost some of those matches, but they've played double funnel trying to beat a Freak of Freaks, lost 2-0. They definitely, if they feel like something is good, they seem to be more caring about what's good for them rather than what works for the enemy team. So we'll wait and see. We will definitely be seeing playoff series with Griffin. If they win their match today, they're guaranteed top 5, and as we know, they're very much on the path for top 1.
Looking for a gank in the bottom side, rather. This is something you can try to make work. Nova is going to try to bait them into it, actually. His positioning should be a little bit suspicious, but here comes Kakao, is level 6, trying to lock him down here. Lehends does have to flash. Getting low there was actually Kakao. Again, he still did have his ultimate available, but nice little trade back, but they do get the flash out of Lehends.
He holds onto the heel for now. We'll have that one for an all-in moment. Nice attempt to bait. When the Q went wide from Nova, that's when you stand up. You obviously don't know for sure the enemy jungler is there. You have to stand up at some point. That meant a lot of threat was gone, so it all made sense. They get the flash regardless. CS lead in the top side isn't massive, and notice the turret health is pretty healthy for now, so hasn't been as much of a disaster as level 1 maybe suggested for So1. And honestly, Jin Air, even though they have a Karma mid, even though they don't have a true tank out of the Tahm Kench, they're probably sitting there saying, well, you know, if we can get through the late game, if it comes down to one team fight, who's to say we can't win?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been seeing a lot, especially recently. The game just slowing down, early game not really accelerating as fast. And, well, Jin Air is definitely a team that doesn't like to go, head first into the early game and try to outplay the lanes. They just want to sit back, farm up a little bit, and not die. You'll notice the positioning of Tarzan, though. He was looking for a play, and he gets some really deep vision into the red side jungle. So they're going to have some good eyes on Kakao. It's definitely going to help out Lehends on the bottom side.
Yes, the control ward very deep, and also the shallow ward on the Raptors. Basically full information of whether there'll be a counter gank if he ganks bot lane. Also has control over the Scuttle. We have the SpoTV Scuttle Crab counter here. You can see in the top it's 2-1 at the moment. So Jin Air have only claimed the single Scuttle. I believe it's 1 mark for the Kindred, not 100% clear on that. Mid lane's been very comfortable for Rather. The big nerf to Karma was on shield duration. For mid lane trades for her and Lulu, that was a really big nerf because Karma was a lot of rushing in with movement speed, getting a Q in and feeling good. But now, of course, you have to be a bit more honest with your usage, and it does end up meaning you take a little bit more chip damage. So good stuff from Rather so far. When the Orianna meta comes in, there's always the argument to play someone like Rather, who's a bit more experienced with shot calling and also plays the control mages very well.
Yeah, Jovi a little bit more of the Zoe Yasuo. I'm going to try to 1v1 solo kill my mid lane opponents. Rather
it
definitely
begins.
Yeah, it does begin in the bottom side, and Rather definitely more of the sit back, control mage, try to support his team a little bit more.
He's a facilitator. Look, his mechanics are not Jovi's. Not many players in the LCKs are, but he is very much about using his intelligence and experience around the game rather than necessarily making the flashy outplays. And that option in a best of 5 is a valuable one. I think if you have like for like, if you have two Chovies in the lineup, it doesn't help you in a best of 5. But if you have someone with a different skill set, being able to sub in someone like Radha, who already has a lot of experience with the other members of Griffin, having played almost exclusively in Challengers, Chovy was too young to play, has a lot of validity as well.
Fantastic timing here on the Rift Herald. Very soon after it spawned, Kakao just going straight for it, and Tarzan is going to recall, so nobody should be able to get in here and stop him from just taking this down. Very early on, Kakao, he did have a couple of extra scuttles taken away from him, but he's getting another objective to help out his team. We'll have to see where he decides to place that, as none of the lanes have been pushing into Griffin. It's going to be hard to get a very effective Rift Herald, even though he takes it early.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that Tarzan didn't walk up to the Brushweenie, who had a control ward in. It's now been replaced, and Kakao will kill that control ward. Reason for that is you have to feel like Sejuani and Jace can outduel a GP Kindred. I guess if Kindred opens up and gets the first burst of damage, you're worried, and clearly Griffin were very respectful, but they lose to Rift Herald for it. Tarzan looking for his angles. Justice doesn't have cleanse. We'll see if something can happen here.
Perfect angle, no flash into the shockwave. It looks like he's gonna just hold on to it, as First Blood does go over to Rather in the mid lane.
Man, sometimes you just hit everything. Clearly Justice didn't have his camera centered around the bottom of the map. Got hit by the ultimate, doesn't flash it, goes into the death chamber as he should. Very nice play by Griffin.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that. You'll notice 2 control wards and even some more deep vision into the red side jungle. Didn't know that the Sejuani would come in behind her, so kind of unfortunate there. Tarzan, we'll see if he takes this red buff too. More good trading up on the top side by Sword. He's really trying to get on in there.
I think in pro play, consider the scenario Justice was in. We know there's been double control ward in the red side jungle of Jin Air. We've seen it controlled by Sejuani for the better part of 5 minutes. Why don't you trinket ward into the Raptor Brush? It's the only place you could realistically be ganked from, and that's the aggressive side of the jungle Griffin is very likely to come from. So Justice playing his first game of the season. I realize you can't say what a terrible play, but it's one of those things where a lot of players, I think, just trinket ward over and say, I just don't want to be turret dive by a Sejuani. Ends up being a very nice path from Tarzan, and we were praising Tarzan for linking up with Chovy last time. Now he links up with a different mid laner. Who's the common factor? It's Tarzan, and he has been an outstanding jungler in LCK Summer 2018.
Yep, he's back again. Picks up a kill for his squad. And you could just tell that Justice had no idea it was coming, right? Because if he had some semblance, you know, maybe he wards, maybe he's ready to flash. Because you got to know that if you're hit by the Sejuani ultimate, you're dead if you don't flash. So you have to flash that one. He's going to clear out some of the vision now on the red side, but maybe coming in a little bit too late, as he is more than 20 CS down on the Orianna.
Rather having a day out. Speaking of Tarzan, he's top side. He'll have his ult up in a second.
Cannon Barrage going to be committed to, but they're still going for the dive here. Is going to miss the Arctic Assault, but it does not matter, as one of the easiest kills they pick up even after Sowan flashes.
A lot of players have been dropping stopwatch in recent memory, and GP is one of those champions, so no stopwatch, no problem. Easy kill, that's going to be first brick in the top lane. Solo gold for Sword. It's exactly what they want. They can get that team out of laning phase soon. The Shrooms will come down with the Ludens and good things happen, but Jin Air with a counter rotation, this is actually a good one.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get this mid turret pretty much for free here. They will get a second charge as well. You did see the committal to the TP from Teddy just to make sure that would come in, but nice response. They're still going to be a bit behind, about 2.5 thousand gold, but again, the name of the game here for Jin Air is just hanging on.
I believe Tarzan was 1 second off from his ult as his play started, but didn't even need it. Very, very clean stuff. Hanks up the turret as he should. That is a set-piece play, sort of thing you can practice very reliably in a scrim or in any level of game. Very nicely executed by Griffin. They back away. The gold lead in the mid lane is 1,000 already in the top side. The Jace getting solo gold is going to put paid to any hope of Sowan keeping up, and it's not Klepto on the GP. Viper's still in 2v2, so they haven't been able to get the Teemo across the map for map control, but still, look at the economy of movement here from Tarzan. What I mean by that is he only has spent 1 minute 22 around his laners, and in that time, it's 2 successful ganks.
It's 2 of the biggest ones. I mean, he takes out the mid laner, gets his mid laner super far ahead. He allows Jace to get the solo gold. It's not like effective ganks where he gets the flash away, right? He's getting kills and flashes and, you know, something extra for his team.
Think about some of the stats we've seen. We've seen, I believe, jungle proximity over about 4.5 minutes in the first 15. So only a minute 22 says that he knows how to be in the right place at the right time. And if not, he's been finding other objectives or camps to pick up. He's been one camp ahead of the Kindred for the majority of the game, and we know how fast Kindred farms. So really nice stuff from Tarzan. Definitely the unsung hero of the first round robin, but by the second round robin, a lot of people talking about how this guy is really the guy to watch on Griffin, and that says a lot with how many stars they have.
He is the guy, that is for sure. You definitely put him up there in the top 3 junglers at this point. Can't really call him the first, you know.
No.
It hasn't been enough time. Scorer is still here in LCK. Even Peanut also still really good. And yeah, but he's a very important part of this team. Now, speaking of important parts of the Teemo, you know, he's doing his thing down in the bottom side. Does it pass the test as something we should see more often?
I think blind pick Teemo is a never, but what we are seeing in a lot of these lanes is it's picked against Ezreal, who doesn't have a lot of wave clear. So once Teemo gets shrooms, he can push back the Ezreal very easily. Lahens has support counter picks, so unless they're all-inning, which can definitely go wrong against he or Soraka, then it's going to be a very comfortable lane. So Teemo's getting free farm. Very easy to counterpick Teemo in a side lane. So at the end of the day, if they can make the map vision and the map lead you get from the shrooms work and actually become proactive in the mid game because of the Teemo pick, it's a very interesting way to navigate around some of the small issues that Griffin have had as a squad.
They're going to go ahead and move over to the Mountain Drake. Going to pick that one up essentially for free. The Shrooms are helping out down in the bottom side of the river, down towards the Teemo. So they have control there. Also a couple more control wards towards the top side of that bottom river. Essentially take that one for free.
Oh, the Q poke's pretty obnoxious with the Ludens now and also Summoner Airy. Griffin fully picking for lane. Has got them a 1,700 gold lead, mostly because of the Jace running away with top with the first brick gold. Went all onto the Jace, but nice CS leads in mid and bot. Here comes Karma from behind trying to make a roam work. These are always going to be a little bit desperate. Goes for a long walk, but it's going to be pretty conspicuous that she's gone.
Yeah. I don't know why, but Karma always feels like she's desperately trying to get somewhere as well. So made it look even more sad so far for Justice. It's not quite Kuzan level of Karma. Again, it was a hard gang to avoid, but we've seen a lot of Karma mids fail from time to time here in the LCK.
And look, Justice has been told by his coach, hey, we're subbing you in to play Griffin. And that's already, well, coach, like, it's a tough spot for me. It's against Rather, so it's definitely not against a mechanical god in the mid lane, so Chovy not being there probably makes him a bit happy. He's like, okay, I could lane here. But even then, in the laning phase, he's down 50 CS, so already he's been a little bit of a problem. If you're picking Karma and only going and losing by 50 CS, you're probably having a bad time as a team. So we'll wait and see if they can actually make a team move where Karma can shine. But on first glance, it definitely feels like a Grace game 2, whatever happens from here.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to have to wait, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes. They need the 2-item power spike for the Ezreal. They need 3, 4 items on the GP. Also, the Kindred will have to slowly come on in here. But he was forced to pick up that early QSS to deal with the Sejuani specifically. So it's going to take a while for them to hold on. We've seen teams from behind that like to play for the late game try to hold on, specifically Jin Air in the past, and definitely feels like another one of those desperate games for Jin Air.
I think the top teams, who are now, of course, even more worried about having to prep for Teemo in a best-of-5, are going to appreciate seeing games and understanding some of the shroom spots that Viper prefers, and also some of the counter strategies. Same thing about when Evelynn comes back and people remember where to ward against her. You have to think of some different variables when you have the Teemo map control that his ultimate provides. Father walks up. They have a low health turret in mid lane. Have to be careful here to Griffin.
Justice just walking on in, is forced to flash away here in trade of a shockwave. Now Nova's coming on in, trying to slow them all down, but can't quite catch anyone. Justice and Kakao in the face of danger, just running at them. They take a lot of damage. It's not critical, but it will lose them a mid lane turret, most likely.
All in onto Viper, but actually very instant devour in midair. I think they lost damage out of the Ezreal there. That was a really weird interaction. Mid lane, they're losing the turret.
Yep, down it goes, even with the TP from Justice, not able to get on in there. And especially as the Teemo gets some items with his AP. I mean, when he picks up the Leandries, this Teemo, or rather the Ezreal, and especially the Tahm Kench, who's going to be building some health, are really going to be feeling it as the game goes on.
The reason why Teemo with winning lanes is always going to be powerful is consider the point that comes when 3 turrets are down for Griffin. It's already 2. They can send more people bot lane and get this bot lane turret. Then this squishy team from Jin Air has to try and combat Baron Vision. And you say, okay, get some blue trinkets. Then you're stepping on all the shrooms and you're dying as squishy members. How about you get some sweepers? Well, then you don't have the blue trinkets and you're not sure when the Baron's been started. You need a true tank to make that work. If you have a Kindred on the side of Griffin, you can't actually bait Baron because you don't have enough health to do so. But in a game like this, we're fast reaching a point where there's no good decisions for Jin Air short of, say, cannon barrages to try to check the Baron.
Yeah.
And that is the big thing that Teemo provides. The map control this game could be really obnoxious for them to try to contest the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you do touch on the Baron turn as well, because it's not just the Teemo Shrooms, it's the Orianna Ball is going to be in your face. Sejuani can turn her ultimate onto you. You're going to be taking accelerated shock blast to the face. And of course, Soraka can help out a little bit as the game goes on. But it's, in general, just a really scary team to try to turn on to, especially if you're behind.
It definitely feels a bit like an Idiot's Guide to Baron Control. Idiot's Guide series, famous one if you guys aren't aware of Idiot's Guide to French, Idiot's Guide. But for map control, for Baron control, this feels like the ultra Baron control team from Griffin, because you have so many different ways to put down vision and put down traps and stop the enemy getting there. And then, as you say, there's insane turn with Orianna Sejuani. So definitely if you're losing out on Barons, well, consider the Teemo. It's a great way to get Baron.
Griffin, they don't just come in here and they, you know, snatch first place away from all the other fantastic teams we have in Korea. They're also innovating as we go along with the champion that we would never have expected to really be innovating much here in the LCK. It's Teemo coming on in. I can't wait to see what else they have up their sleeves. We always talk about, well, are they going to be good in best of fives?
I have a question. Who's number 1? Who is it? It's Teemo, baby.
Yeah, of course. He has his shrooms.
You say, of course. There was a Jace versus GP matchup.
Teemo, you know, we have games where we lose, and the Teemo's, you know, he's got a good KDA and he has the highest damage, but that's all he has. Generally has the highest damage. But, yeah, I mean, if they can innovate something with a Teemo like this just in the regular season, I would have to think that they can innovate stuff for best of fives later on.
I think we're running out of champions to innovate on when our meta includes Quinn and also this bot lane Teemo, and basically every champion, apparently. Who's the champion?
What are we missing?
Who right now is,
Urgot.
who's the troll pick? Who's the hover? Because in the past it was, oh, I'm going to hover Heimerdinger, Nunu.
Garen.
I guess Garen is still the troll pick? Okay. One day, someone's going to blind pick Riven, and Garen is going to come out and put Riven in her place.
Oh, I don't know what day that is when we're blind picking Rivens in the LCK. Maybe in other regions, but not here.
Wrong Viper, I guess.
Yeah,
If it was the NA Viper, maybe we get the blind pick Riven.
I think that, you know, could definitely happen.
All right, well, nice map movement. Gets him a bot lane. Now looking for a pick on Lehens.
He does have his flash, is waiting to use it here. Tarzan is also going to blow his ultimate. Lands also forced to heal to get away from that one. So nice little Abyssal Voyage to get a bunch of summoners away from the Soraka.
Soraka on a solo vision mission will lose both summoners, and like you say, now have to be a lot more defensive. Nova's interrupted on the back.
You get some nice slows down here. Insta-cleanse out of Nova.
Shroom behind will slow him down for a bit. They're chasing for this.
Yeah, there's the follow-up. So much ticking damage from Viper. He's going to hit the Q on an Ezreal. I thought that was going in onto Tahm Kench, and Teddy loses half his health bar.
Close to 40% CDR. Will be 40% CDR for Viper as well. Well, this is what we call Baron control, and now the headaches begin for Jin Air. They still have 2 blue trinkets, only 1 sweeper, so apparently you're stepping on shrooms.
It's pretty gross. I mean, you think about the side of Jin Air, they do have the Karma for the team-wide shield. They have a Tahm Kench to eat a bunch of health damage. Even the Gangplank, you know, not necessarily building MR, but can generate some of his health back. So you have options, but they're not great ones.
And someone on Jin Air eventually has to be Sideshow Bob. My favorite Simpsons clip is when Sideshow Bob steps on all the rakes that are on the floor and just grunts every time. Ugh. Well, someone has to step on all of those shrooms. You're going to run out of sweepers soon. You got to face check them. They're very annoying to deal with. And that's what Teemo provides. Slow and steady. If you have a lot of time, you can make a play like this, but every time you return, there's going to be more shrooms, and this play is going to be more and more unviable as Orianna looks to try to get some big plays down. So for now, there's one set of clearing, but it turns out that Teemo, he's always got more mushrooms ready to go.
He's got them unlimited. I don't know how he has so much time to go pick all these mushrooms, but he certainly finds a way.
What's your view on mushrooms? And by this, I mean the edible kind. Do you enjoy them in your meals?
Which kind of edible mushrooms are we talking about here, Papa?
The ones that you enjoy in a meal.
Oh, I mean, I think both can be enjoyed with a meal. Not quite sure. Of course, I've never done that myself. I'm not a really big fan of mushrooms, to be honest. The normal kinds.
This feels like a LeBlanc scenario. We're like, yeah, 2018 LeBlanc, old LeBlanc, mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, they're okay. They're kind of slimy though. I'm not really a big fan of slimy.
How do you feel
things.
about avocado? Another slimy.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I thought you might be on the hate train. I'm a recent convert to having like mushrooms in a burger. Usually I would not be up for that, but I'm getting there. And speaking of getting there,
well, ulting into a Tahm Kench. You could try to go for the Tahm Kench here. He has a lot of health, but if he never gets to use his great health, you can just take him down. And Teddy, oh boy, there's the shield from the Karma to keep him alive. Now Sohan trying to come in from behind is going to do a nice bit of damage here to Sword, but already the redemption is completed. And everybody on the side of Griffin will be at full health.
They get the pick a little bit too late on the Lamb's respite as Kakao. The annoyance for Tahm Kench in this matchup is that Soraka silences you when she predicts that you're going to use the gray health, and you just get popped like we saw happen from Nova. Doesn't have the ability to change his summoners. Annoyingly, the Rift Scuttler does actually tank one of the shrooms. The shrooms are there, the Baron has started. Are we face checking or are we not?
Sohan is skirting by a mushroom. There we go. Again, he has the shield and he's pretty tanky, but just the poke on the opposite side, the shock blast to the face on Kakao. You have the Orianna there. It's just everybody was low on health and mana. They were thinking about it, but they will just return another time.
Gonna watch the replay here. Notice Nova's problem. Once you get turned on, as the Tahm Kench, always likely to happen. When do you use the gray health? He's silenced and CC'd the entire time. That means that the ult is wasted. Amusingly, it does stop Sword from diving further. He might have looked for the kill onto Teddy, but couldn't get it because Lamb's Respite had been used. Previously, Sword first walks up as if he's going to flash away, then turns on GP. I really like that, as it shows his options, but also the fact that he's willing to re-engage and team fight in melee range on the Jace. Gold lead right now, it's not that much to speak about. The GP is slowly putting together items, and Griffin getting a pick and turning into Baron does still feel like an inevitability. But if we don't see it in the next 10 minutes, it could just be one team fight for Jin Air and a victory in a game.
Yeah, I mean, there is always that option that could come through here. Teddy, he is Arcane shifting forward a lot. You got to be careful. I mean, he does have the Tahm Kench right next to him, but the amount of wombo combo that Griffin has might just get your Tahm Kench into another death if you're not careful.
Odd when you have 4 ranged auto attackers, but none of them are really above 500 range, right? Teemo's 500 range. I believe Jace also in range form is 500 range. So while they still have annoying poke to deal with, they are getting outranged pretty heavily by the Karma Ezreal poke that comes through in many of these fights. All right, now we're reaching Silly Town when it comes to the amount of shrooms. In terms of AP, well, he hasn't bought in a while, so there's no needlessly large rod item, but it is the maximum shroom damage.
I like the spread he's got going on, too. You know, he's not just allowing them all to get cleared up by one control ward. He forces them to place multiple if you actually do want to take them out.
Cal, they will step on this one.
It's going to do a lot of damage to Justice here. Not a ton. He did have the shield to eat a lot of that burst damage in the beginning. Teddy, though, is going to eat a Q and an auto to the face.
Again, though, remember that as this happens, we will see times when Griffin will defend the Shroom line rather than be drawn to other sides. So Jin Air can only afford to make plays like that when they've actually forced, say, let's say, Sword and another member to hit the side waves and clear vision. Trying to get Nova here. His flash is still up.
Just waiting on another engage here for Griffin. We have just passed the 30-minute mark, and you mentioned that late game for Jin Air. I mean, it is only about 1,500 gold this time for Griffin. I feel like it's actually gotten closer in terms of the gold lead. Griffin not just outscaling them too much here. And an Ocean Drake is really awkward. Tarzan's just going to take that one away so that they can make the Elder spawn on time for them before Jin Air gets too strong.
Definitely feels like slow and steady is what Griffin is doing. Eventually, Jin Air will have to respond to a side wave and also Baron, and that's where the Shrooms will find real value. Also some more ability power onto Viper. This build's actually been pretty slow since the last time we've checked in. He's got Sorax, he's got the Fiendish Codex, but there's no big AP numbers because it's just been side wave farms so far, and even then he's been sharing it with some of the other members. Well, let's see how Griffin turn it on, how they actually make the proactive move that this map control should be providing. Because for now, the last 5 minutes, we haven't been impressed.
Yeah, just sitting here, kind of twiddling our thumbs, saying, all right, Griffin, when are you going to go for it? The Mushroom line has been impressive, but now it's been cleared up a little bit by Jin Air, who are taking control of the map. We talked about the Karma and how it would do against the Teemo Shrooms. So far, it's been pretty nice. You can see how much it mitigates the damage there. Teddy basically at full health, just trading a Shroom for a shield.
Jace roaming up this time, as Jin Air have cleared out away all the Shrooms, barring the one spotting. They can see. Harass coming into Sword is already pretty tanky. As there's the ult, does miss.
Yeah, gonna sail wide on that one.
That
Look
one
at
does it.
two-man shockwave into the duo queue down here in the bottom side. Able to get over the wall, but immediately Tarzan follows him. The shock blast to the face from Sword as well is gonna get the kill on to Tahm Kench.
You can't kite Viper.
Yeah, Viper going on a bit of a journey here.
Doesn't want to flash for it. Could have flashed, has the W to also catch up. But they are much more interested in this Baron, and all Viper needs to do is to keep him away.
Yeah, the Wish just gonna come in early just to top everyone off here. Justice has a little bit of poke. You can see that Rather is gonna eat it, but Kakao, look at that, is gonna throw down the Lambs for Smite just to stay alive. Can't get in range of the Smite. He's gonna go down too. Just a bonus kill for Griffin as they finally accelerate this game.
It wasn't about the Teemo on the catch, but they get the all-important catch. Watch the replay here. It doesn't look like it's going to actually lead to too much because the Sejuani ultimate misses onto the Karma. That's who they desperately want. But then Rather gets the double shockwave. The silence once again, so important. The fact that there's no threat onto Lehends. There's no dive on the side of Jin Air, remember. So the Soraka is able to walk up into team fights in a way that gets her killed in other team fights. Walks up for the silence again. They get suboptimal use of the disengage and zoning that usually we see from a Kindred Karma and a Tahm Kench. Two members go down, so does the Baron. It took a long time, but Griffin finally opened the game.
And he mentioned the Soraka, really no way to deal with her. And it's one of Lehends' biggest picks, right? It's hard when you're trying to ban out his main stuff, the Shen and Morgana, but then it almost feels like the Soraka perfectly fits in not only the bot lane, but also the overall composition.
Soraka's probably been the most influential champion in this game. Sejuani has an argument, speaking of, gonna disengage here, but her silences have been the most important part in team fights that we've tracked so far. And Jin Air's inability to make her accountable outside of Abyssal Voyaging on top of her to catch her one time and get two summoners is becoming a problem. If Lehends doesn't die this game, 100% Griffin win.
And definitely feels like she's not going to die. The Redemption, pretty much the only item finished for her outside of the cooldown boots and the support item. Just picking up as many control wards as possible. I love the Dark Seal as well, just as a little bit of a, well, I know I'm not going to die, so I might as well just pick up a really valuable item for 350 if I can get some stacks.
What you're saying is in the bot lane there were mushrooms and a Dank Seal.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
that's some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there's no mid lane turret in the inner turret now. It's killed almost instantly They walk up here, don't have the most range, but Jin Air, they don't look like they're interested in engaging, so it means they get the inner turret down, they continue to rotate. Jin Air being pulled across the map. You feel like one more Sejuani ultimate might just win the game.
Even Sohan here trying desperately to clear the waves, but Jace really fantastic at pushing even the 2v1, and then Griffin say, well, the Karma goes top, let's push in with the cannon wave. The shockwaves from Rather, you know, we've been talking about the Teemo, we've been talking about compositions, but he has had a very clean game on the Orianna, even outside of winning the lane. Trying to get on top of Teddy here, is gonna jump away from Nova.
They're looking for this one.
Gonna jump forward now, no real way to get on in there. Shockwave onto only Sohan. The Cannon Barrage got so much value and slowed everybody from Griffin down, but good kiting back, did a lot more damage to Jin Air, and now they'll push in.
While Jin Air have shields, they don't have sustain. Very hard to emulate the sustain available. The side of Griffins, they do eventually take this mid lane inhibitor. Rotate to the top side. Jin Air can push up and try to delay here. Taking this second inhibitor is going to be a lot more tricky for Griffin.
10 seconds on the Baron, and you can just try to 5v5 if you're Jin Air up here. So Griffin decide, let's get the enhanced recall, go back and buy some cool items, and then we'll return the next time. The next objective is coming up soon as well. 35 seconds on the Elder Drake.
Amusingly, the other thing we can talk about in this game is that I imagine Jin Air might be close to setting records for amount of control wards bought just to clear the shrooms. So could actually be a bigger effective gold lead than the 7,000 shows because so much has been put into control wards. If we're going to talk about a Skarner tax, I think we have to talk about a Teemo tax because the control wards are certainly not optional. Justice comes over, trying to find something, doesn't find anything. Mikhail's actually done on Lehens for even more. CC reduction, but also healing power now on this Soraka. Chucking shrooms left, right, and center is Viper.
Yeah.
How about an Elder? Gonna be tricky to contest this one for Jin Air.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even gonna go into the mushroom field. Don't feel like picking any mushrooms today.
The Mushroom Kingdom even?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it looks like right now. Griffin, they totally own the map with their Teemo. And so far, I feel like it's been a really good pick, actually. You know, it doesn't feel like we're still waiting for it to have some really good effects. You know, of course, we'd still love to see it up against some stronger teams, but in this game, at least, it's been proving a lot to me.
I would say from this game, we have seen that Griffin are able to play a Teemo comp very well. Slow and steady, they've been able to strangle out Jin Air, but my problem with analysis like that is, couldn't they have done that on many other comps? Your first thought is yes. And that's why we're still not 100% clear on the power. Is nice little bouncing shroom there.
Yeah. Big shield, though. Once again, Karma's one real purpose in this game, it feels like, has just been to mitigate the shroom damage. And I suppose if you can force a lead and then force your opponent to have only the Karma and no backline threat for your Soraka, like a Azir or something like that, well, I suppose that's a win in itself.
Jace being collapsed on. Good luck with that one.
Turns out he's pretty fast.
Yoma's Ghost Blade and the Flash available. Flash is blown, but now Nova is extra likely to be caught in the next Shockwave. Griffin, they got those 3 ranged auto attackers bot lane. They push in. That's another inhibitor turret down.
Yeah, not much they can do here. Just kind of feels like the side of Teddy and especially Kakao have really not been able to do anything in this game. It's been the slow and steady suffocation from Griffin here in just about 40 minutes. No real contest, 0 kills. Only the 3 turrets going over to the side of Jin Air here. Once again, just slowly trying to push in.
What's the redemption healing? It's huge healing with the Mikhails also buffing up the redemption. I believe it's 60% extra healing because of the tripling of the 20% you get on Mikhails that redemption has.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal, that's for sure. It's a big redemption, big boy there. Nice shockwave into the front line. Rather, he wants some extra kills. He wants to play in game number 2. Wouldn't be surprised if he does, as Kakao is going to bite the dust too. Sword looking for some more here, but it looks like that's going to do it, guys. Griffin are going to be able to take game number 1 and another win for Teemo in the LCK.
3 turrets and a Rift Herald is all that could happen there. 1 Drake as well for the side of Jin-Air. Otherwise, Griffin show that it was no fluke on the Teemo. It was not just styling in a single game. They feel confident in running the Teemo compositions, and we can sit here and say, could have been something else, could have gone slow and steady, probably still would have beaten Jin-Air, currently 9th in the standings. But Griffin don't really care what we think about them as a team. They've come in and blown away all of our expectations, coming 3 series away from just being straight up the best team in the regular season. They may very well reach that mark, and after a performance like that, you have to always wonder, as a team facing Griffin in the future, are we safe to go Ezreal Tahm Kench? Because we know that Griffin have their own answer to a duo that has been performing by multiple top teams in the LCK.
Yeah, it certainly won the bottom lane. I mean, it was just about 15-20 CS ahead by the time the laning phase ended, so you can call that a success for the Teemo again. We are going to go into a bit of a break here, guys, before we do get to game number 2. We'll be right back.
생걸 촬영했어요. 감독님의 일산.
자, 이거 컨셉이 그리핀을 소개하는 컨셉으로 가기로 했어. 자기 포지션과 이름 그리고 취미, 뭐 특기 뭐 이런 걸 적당한 소개를 꺼내고 그 사람에 대해서 시청자들이 궁금할 만한 것들을 물어봐주는 거야.
그냥 그 일상생활 하다가 갱킹하는 게 훨씬 나을 것 같은데.
제일 나을 것 같아.
배우형을 한번 시험을 해보세요. 어차피 이게 시범연산이니까.
오케이, 주민할게요, 대우형으로. 파란 옷 입으신 잘생긴 남자분, 팀에서 맡은 포지션과 이름 좀 소개시켜주세요.
저는 그리핀의 플레잉 코치
와,
를 맡고 있는 김대구라고 합니다.
와, 박수.
이거 너무 부담스러워.
자, 안녕하세요.
그리핀의 대빵 미드 신영섭입니다.
와우. 자신이 LCK에서 몇 등 정도 하는 미드라이너다.
11등이요.
11등?
예.
10등밖에 없는데?
항상 제가 가장 모자라다는 마음가짐으로
레더 선수가 생각하는 타잔 선수의 평소의 모습은?
타잔 선수는 역시 청소반장입니다. 빨리 안 나면은 자고 있으면 와서 깨우고 귀찮게 하죠.
똑똑. 안녕하세요.
아 이거 지금 이렇게 하면 안 되지. 너무
왜?
어색하잖아.
네, 다시.
그리핀 정글을 맡고 있는 타잔이라고 합니다.
LCK 썸머를 다한 이만은 각오해야 돼서 한번.
열심히 잘해야죠. 최대한 노력하고.
여기까지.
네.
오케이.
와이프씨, 그 LCK 올라가니까 기분이 어떻습니까?
LCK 솔직히 매번 라이프
그리핀 내가 얘보다는 잘생겼다 하는 선수를 뽑자면 누가 있을까요?
건방져. 인정합니다.
팀부터 앞서냈기 때문에.
네, 여기까지.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요, 리엔즈입니다. 그리핀의 서포트 담당하고 있습니다.
일주일에 한 번도 씻지 않는다는 게 사실인가요?
저는 항상 연습을 늦게까지 했기 때문에
아, 모함인가요?
네, 당연히 모함이라고 생각하고
그 리엔즈 선수 주무시는 방에서 그 금붕어 밥 냄새 같은 게 난다고.
그거는 이제 저희 방에 수건을 항상 걸어놓기 때문에 습기가 차서 그런 거 아닐까.
리엔즈 선수 자리에서만 난다고 하더라고요.
그것도 제 방에 수건.
아, 네, 여기까지 하겠습니다.
아, 정말 화가 나네요.
지금 딱이야. 지금
뭐이 뱃살은.
똑똑. 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다.
네, 반갑습니다. 그리핀의 탑소를 맡고 있는 소드라고입니다.
목에 있는 거 그거 뭐죠 이게?
이게 제 트레이드 마크인데 이거 설명하려면 역사가 좀 길지. 목에 탯줄 감겨서 생긴 자국이라서
아,
자국이 살을 빼도 보이긴 보이는데 일단 살 빼고 말해야겠지.
오케이.
그리핀 미드 서브를 맡고 있는 초비 선수입니다.
이번에 LCK 한 번도 승리하지 않고 승격하신 소감이 어떻습니까?
이게 바로 무패 우승이라는 걸 느꼈습니다.
네, 저희는 지금 자세 교정을 위해 요가원으로 출발하는 중입니다. 뭐야, 벌써 시작했다.
아니 그냥 화면 어떻게 나오는지 보는 건데.
가슴을 펴서 뒤로 빠져있죠. 오른 무릎을 펴보세요. 그 다음에 엉덩이를 끌어 올려야 돼요. 무릎 접어
요가원을 끝나고 가는 그리핀 가족들.
자세가 많이 뻣뻣하더라고. 이제 차차 하면서 더 할수록 더 좋아져요.
오케이.
아, 나이가 들어가지고 몸이 찌뿌둥하고 힘드네요.
오늘 요가 하신 기분 어떠십니까?
재밌었어요. 회춘하는 선수로 할 수 있을 것 같아요. 누가 한다 하면은 요리 잘해줄 것 같아요. 선수는. 선수 자리 위협할 수도 있어.
지금 제 자리를 위협하시는 건가요?
그건 지금도 가능합니다. 그건 지금도 가능한 게